welcome penis and breast owners to the spoken word portion of the penis dimension portion of the mighty Zappanale 2015.
I like this one. Does that work out? Herzlich willkommen. Keep going.
Okay.
Great.
I've been destined to come here someday, and finally it's become a reality. I get to hang out with you all fellow Zappaholics like myself to celebrate the existence of Frank while we had him here in the same universe, and will now always live in our minds. Okay, so he's the reason I'm in Bad Doberan, to bend your ear with one of his favorite topics, or rather three, dicks and tits. To do that, I will tell you how the most unlikely person in the world, me, became a plaster casting groupie.
Cindy ist bestimmt mal hier hinzukommen. Sie freut sich total, dass sie ja ein bisschen Zeit mit uns verbringen konnte, mit uns anderen Zappaholikern in Reha. Und natürlich will sie mit uns über eine oder eigentlich drei von den Zappes Lieblingssachen, Dicks and Tits, also das ist ja einmal, gut, ihr könnt die Mathematik selbst machen. Ja, und vor allem aber über die Geschichte von wie die unwahrscheinlichste Frau der Welt in einer Plaster-Casting Groupie, also eine, okay, ich sage mal nochmal, ein schwanzabgussnehmende, she doesn't know what that means. Schwanz, yes, you've been to New Schwanstein, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now you know what the name means.
Right.
Okay, so continue, please.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. My name is Cynthia Plastercaster, and I'm a recovering groupie, sort of. I've been making plaster casts of rock stars' dicks and tits for over 40 years now.
Cynthia, wie sie sagt, ist ein Groupie in Reha, so mehr oder weniger, sie nimmt Abgüsse von Rockstars seit 40 years, was it? Yeah.
Plus.
40 Jahre plus.
If you've got the groupie in your blood, there is no cure. Once it's entered your bloodstream, you will never look at a rock star the same way again.
Wenn man einmal Groupie geworden ist, also es gibt kein Antikörper, wie es heißt auf ihrem Skript. Also man ist ja einfach so.
Now, suppose you're at a really good rock show, and your blood type is type G positive. You release groupie antibodies that stimulate your brain and start up a mental process that I've gone through many, many times. Like, for example, maybe you're looking at the guitarist. You check out the hair, then the ring finger. If there's no ring on the finger, you check out the crotch.
Also wenn man G-positiv ist, sozusagen Groupie-positiv, schaut man einen Rockstar nie, also man hat dann ab dann eine andere Art und Weise, einen Rockstar anzuschauen. Also erstmal die Haare, ich betone, das sind Kopfhaare damit gemeint, erstmal die Haare, dann natürlich da, wo der Ehering normalerweise ist, wobei das ist oft egal heutzutage, aber das und dann eben natürlich, wenn kein Ring auf dem Finger ist, dann direkt mal im Schritt. No shit.
No shit.
That's right.
Then you wonder, who's doing security backstage? What hotel is the band staying at? Do I have enough plaster in my pantry at home? Did my lucky purple brassiere dry in the clothesline yet? Are there any girls around backstage who look like they'd like to give a pop star a blowjob for plaster posterity that don't require a traditional romantic courtship beforehand?
Ja, dann fragt man sich, in welchem Hotel bleibt die Band? Die Band, das Band, der Band, ja, ist egal. Wer macht Security? Und vor allem, also ist der Glücksbringer BH, die Lilane, schon trocken oder ist es ja, trieft es noch vom Waschen? Das ist klar, auf der Wäscheleine. Und dann, was ich nicht so gut übersetzen kann, ist, do I have enough plaster in my pantry? Das heißt, habe ich genug Gips in meinem Essensschrank, aber es klingt einfach noch viel schwieriger auf Englisch. Naja, und dann muss ich auch noch eine Girl haben, eine Groupie, die so aussieht, als ob sie ein Blowjob zu einem Rockstar geben würde. There are no blowjobs in Germany, you see, but that's what I've been told. My wife is coming later, so Robert, turn off the camera.
Okay, so if you're me in particular, you want to make the memory of witnessing a really good show last forever by bringing home a very special souvenir. And I'm not talking autograph. I'm talking about a band member's dick forever immortalized in plaster. Nowadays, instead of going backstage to meet the band I just saw play, I usually just go home and put night cream on my face, go straight to bed. Let's face it, I'm an aging groupie, I need a lot of sleep, and most of the new bands don't thrill me that much over the years. However, there is a duo here tonight that... I don't give a fuck about night cream.
Thank you, yes, I'm cheating here. Heutzutage, sagt Cynthia, ist es einfach so, sie geht nicht, versucht nicht Backstage schleichen, sondern greift einfach für die Nachtcreme. Das jetzt für das Gesicht ist ja klar. Nee, gut. Ja, geht nach Hause, geht ins Bett, turn the page.
I do believe I just popped the question.
You just popped something, I just don't know which duo you mean, but we'll find out, I'm sure.
Well, surprise.
There are three things that smell. No. Okay.
So although I'm a recovering groupie, occasionally I get off the wagon. Like, maybe later, hopefully. Okay, like I said, I've been actively casting now for a long time, initially, to get laid. And my urge started in the mid-60s when I was a dorky schoolgirl whose favorite music was Broadway musicals, until I discovered the Beatles. And then overnight, I became, after I heard I Want to Hold Your Hand, I was could be a Beatle maniac and other kind of maniacs for life. Until then, I'd never been a fan of rock and roll at all, until I heard it reconstructed by long-haired British musicians.
Also am Anfang, wie Cynthia schon gesagt hat, sie wollte ja diese Plaster-Casting, diese Gipsabdrücke machen, einfach mal, um ja ab und zu wieder mal mit einem Rockstar zu poppen. Aber dann plötzlich war whose favorite music? Ja, okay, sie fing an mit Broadway Musicals, aber ich nehme an, das war bevor the Groupie Phase. Und dann hat sie I Wanna Hold Your Hand. Ja, und dann war sie ein Beatlemaniac for life. Es kam übrigens ein Ausdruck da drin, when I was a dorky schoolgirl. Also dorky heißt so viel wie nerdy, aber ich weiß drauf hin, dork heißt auch mal Dödel. Also dork is actually a dork, you know. Okay.
Actually, the dork sounds kind of phallic.
Yeah, well, a dork is a dick. A dork is a dick.
Dorks are hot.
Dorks, yeah.
Okay, so my best friend Barbara and I dreamed about meeting the Beatles and/or Stones and falling in love with one. All we had to do was find the hotel the band was at. Except so did all these other girls by then. So we had to find a way to get the attention away from all these other girls who were, for example, va-va-voom girls that were not virgins, and over to shy and goofy girls like my friend Barbara and myself. Believe it or not, I really was and am a very shy girl.
If you believe it, well, ja, also meine beste Freundin Barbara und ich, wir haben uns Wege überlegt, dass wir eben an diese Rock-Musicians rankommen könnte. Ja, das Problem war, es gab jede Menge Konkurrenz, natürlich die anderen Teenie-Mädels, die da nur geschrien haben. Und die haben ja irgendwas gesucht, also ein Wa-Wa-Wa-Boom-Girl. Well, that goes back though, actually, we don't say that anymore. That would be like super heiße Schnecke, super heiße Schlampe, glaube ich. Ja, eben.
Oh, I still say it.
You still say it well.
I'm old in the way.
I have been known to say "ba-ba-ba-boom" too, but nobody knows what I'm talking about. So, yeah. Anyway, so
Ba-ba-ba-boom, you all.
Ba-ba-ba-boom. Yeah. So all right. Yeah. Okay.
So we had to come up with some kind of a gimmick, shy Barbara and I. And at first, I discovered this Cockney rhyming slang language that the British bands knew and nobody else in Chicago but Barbara and myself knew. And all we were interested in were the dirty ones, the dirty words that we would incorporate into a note to send to the bands, like Hampton Wick, which rhymes with dick, Barclays Bank, which rhymes with wank, which means hand job, which I had no idea what that was, because I'd never seen a Hampton Wick before.
This is going to be hard. Also I'm verreist.
What's going to be hard?
Yes, exactly. I'm going to have to explain to them why it's called Cockney, but that's all right. Also das Cock in Cockney ist ja... Auf alle Fälle, aus irgendwelchen Grund haben die zwei Damen ja ihren Ansatz gefunden drin, dass sie in Cockney ist natürlich East London? Or is it just London in general? South East London, okay. Es ist London Slang, es ist wie Tschechersprache, aber es hat eigentlich ein paar Jahrhunderte Geschichte. Es reimt. So, das heißt, wenn man sagt, you've got nice Bristols, well, the Bristol cities, those are your titties. So, the Hampton Wick, that's your dick. Also natürlich, das ist dann der Schwanz. Was hat man noch? Hampton Wick, the Barclays Bank, a wank, which is so, as Americans, of course, we don't say wank, we say whack. We lose the nasals trying to do that. Barclays Bank, what was the other one for hand job? Oh, the wank, yeah. Also the wank is...
that's good enough.
Yeah.
Charva means fuck. Someone told me the other day what that rhymes with, but I forget what she told me.
Do you guys know what Charva rhymes with? Who? Charva? I happen to have done some research on that. Yeah, I think it's a gypsy term that the Americans, particularly the Latinos, picked up. It means kind of a punk, like a Jungspund, but a charva is, if you say it about a girl, it's basically not really a whore, but it's kind of like a cheapie, an easy one.
You were the one that told me. Oh, okay.
Where do you find out how she found out about the Hampton Wick? Okay.
Okay, so we had this secret code language with which to communicate to the bands. We were kind of on our way, and on our way to losing our virginity. Which, speaking of, my conservative, iron-fisted mother raised me to be a good Catholic, and I called her the warden.
Not iron-fisted, that hurts, please. Iron-fisted, that hurts.
Yeah. It did. And I was always supposed to always obey her and never sin. And sinning meant don't lose your virginity or look at a Hampton Wick. But what the fuck was so good about that?
Also ich habe unterschlagen, bis hin die Cynthia Jungfer gewesen geblieben und ihre gut katholische Mutter wollte sie auch mal richtig erziehen. Das heißt, immer folgen, kein Sex, ist ja klar, und wenn schon, dann nicht mit Spaß. Und nie ein Hampton Wick anschauen. Aber wieso soll das gut sein? Okay.
So I have reason to believe that the warden never saw a Hampton Wick, even though she got laid by my father. Because I really believe she kept her eyes closed, did the sign of the cross while he went in there.
Unbefleckte Empfängnis, lassen wir es dabei.
Conception. Yes, immaculate. And how? Oh, so I still was an obedient virgin. I never used swear words like dick or cock, only Hampton or rig, which is what Keith Moon called his Hampton. But I was getting more and more curious to have a look behind those zippers with those mysterious bulges that some guy in my block, creepy guy, told me got hard when provoked.
Also, daher sind hier sich, the things I never thought I'd have to translate, waren sich ja so, sie hat, thank you, ihre Mutter reinzulegen, hat sie nur diese Rhyming-Slang benutzt, aber trotz allem war sie immer neugieriger, was eigentlich hinter dem Reißverschluss und diese komische, damals hat man kein Fiber Jeans getragen, hinter dieser Reißverschlüsse sich verbarg. Und es gab ja auch mal so ein Nerd oder eine unangenehme Gestalt, der ihr verklickert hat, dass wenn man sie wütend macht, dann können sie sogar größer werden.
So anyway, this band called Jerry and the Pacemakers came to town, and we handed them, we managed to get a note with this Cockney rhyming slang to the drummer. And just the note said, "Rig, men, are your Hampton Wicks looking for some Chicago charva? If so, look no further. Your two Barclays bankers from the Chicago Charva chapter have arrived. We'd love to satisfy any needs you may have.
Of course.
For appointments or more info, call Cynthia Barbara, 731-9366. Of course, we were full of shit. We had no idea what we were talking about.
Also ja, den Rhyming-Slang werde ich nicht versuchen mal zu das geht ja über. Okay, gut. Eberschwanz Stars. Sind eure Dödeln dabei, ein bisschen Chicago, wait, I'll get one here. Chicago Schlampen zu suchen? Wenn schon, dann guckt nicht weiter. Die Barclays, nehmen wir den Barclays mit, also den Barclay-Wichser sind auch die Fixer. Wir haben dein Chicago Schlampe. Anyway, und wir tun alles, was wir wollen. I've never done cockney in Germany, I want you to know.
Kick fucking ass,
Well,
man.
that's not all I do.
So the next day, the telephone rang and the British accent asked for Barclay. Luckily, I answered the phone. It was the drummer from the Pacemakers calling all the way from Columbus, Ohio, which was a big deal. You know, long distance calls were really expensive and you had to go through an operator and everything. He was asking me how I would satisfy his needs with my mother, the warden, hovering behind with her arms crossed and giving me a dirty look. So I had to hang up after only a minute. But I was so excited because I was on the case. I was getting this close to seeing having a close encounter with a real live rig.
Also irgendwie, ohne es auf Deutsch übersetzt haben zu müssen, hat sie dieses Zettel doch tatsächlich mal zu dem Schlagzeug von Jerry and the Pacemakers, kennt ihr ja alle? Oh, okay, at least some of you do. The guys with great hair.
Jerry, cross the Mersey.
Cherokee people.
First row.
Yeah, they know everything. Come on. Übrigens, ich habe Cynthia auch mal sagen können, wenn man in Google, also natürlich, ich muss mich immer ein bisschen erkundigen, Jerry, Paul Revere, was Paul Revere's eigentlicher Name ist, ohne Scheiß jetzt Paul Revere Dick. Das hat okay. Anyway, dann kam so ein Ferngespräch aus Columbus, also being far from Columbus is always a good idea, but I'm from the West Coast, I'm sorry. Und es war der Schlagzeuger vom Jerry and the Pacemakers. Ach, ich habe Jerry and the Pacemakers und Paul Revere and the Raiders ausgetauscht, macht ja nichts. Er wollte eigentlich wissen, wie genau sie wollte seine Bedürfnisse befriedigen, aber weil The Warden, das heißt der Aufseher, ihre Mutter, hinter ihr stand und so ein Kreuzzeichen macht und was weiß ich so, da musste sie auflegen, aber sie war ja aufgeregt. Bald wird sie eine Begegnung mit a real live rig.
Your translation really turns me on.
My wife will be here in 2 hours. Time for the break.
oh yes, the spring of 1966. Art major in college. The weekend was coming up. I was waiting to get my homework assignment from the teacher. Eager as usual to get the fuck out of the class, downtown to meet my friend Barbara to go looking for some bands. And doodling or something in my science, drawing
Nicht doodle.
drawing pictures of George Harrison in my science notebook. And this tour called the Dick Clark Caravan of Stars was in town with all these cool bands. And Barbara and I already knew that they were staying at the Conrad Hilton.
So eines Tages, was that high school or?
College.
Okay, eines Tages im College 1966, natürlich da hat sie ihre Hausaufgabe abgewartet etc. Und dann natürlich kam mal eine eigentlich sehr berühmte Tournee, the Dick, that's right, I don't choose the names, it just has to be called Dick. And the Dick Clark Caravan of Stars, you always have to say this, keep reaching for the sky and keep your... Anyway, und dann haben sie rausbekommen, dass diese Tour in Town war und dass die alle beim Hilton abgestiegen waren. Und jetzt kommt das Wort Plaster sehr oft vor. Okay.
So the teacher then announced the homework assignment, and I'm already halfway out the door when he says, "Make a plaster cast of something solid." I dropped my pencil. I said, "The teacher just say solid the way I've been told Hampton Wicks got? Wait till I tell Barbara this." And when I told her, she screamed. And I screamed back. Not like teeny boppers, of course.
Also dann kam natürlich die Hausaufgabe im Kunstunterricht, man solle einen Abdruck von irgendwas machen, aber irgendwas Hartes. Und natürlich, als Cynthia das gehört hat, dann hat sie geschrien, hat sie ihrer Freundin Barbara erzählt, die haben so also man kennt diese, weiß ich, wer Kids hat, aber ja gut, das bin ich wieder. Ja, okay.
So we ran to the hotel as fast as we could. And the band we had in mind to meet was Paul Revere and the Raiders. Paul Revere, Dick, and the Raiders. I mean, they dressed like soldiers of the American Revolutionary War. And the singer Mark Lindsay was really cute, although he wore a mullet and a ponytail underneath one of those Napoleon hats.
Ja, also die glücklichen Gewinner waren dann eben, wie gesagt, so Paul Revere, Dick and his Raiders. Besonders aufregend war es, weil Mark Lindsay, der Sänger, war übermäßig süß. Er hat so diese kleine amerikanische Revolutionskrieg-Aufmachung an mit so, Rouge, thank you very much. Mit Rouge hier vorne und vor allem ein absolut geiler dreieckiger Hut drauf. Fest Sound.
So, when Barbara and I got there, we climbed 12 flights of stairs to avoid getting caught by the hotel security, but no problem. We were young and healthy and didn't get out of breath very easily. So, couldn't wait to knock on Mark Lindsay's door and yell, "How's your Hampton Wick?" in hopes that he would know what that word meant. So, we knocked on the door and Mark answered. And apparently he had been to the south of London because he got rid of the girl he'd just been fucking and took me out on the fire escape and started to talk like a scene out of the movie West Side Story. It was so romantic about sexual liberation, virginity, and plaster.
Also, I'm reading, also ich lese etwas vor, dann weiß ich, was als nächstes kommt. So Remote Control in das. Also auf alle Fälle, die zwei Mädels haben es ja per Fuß im Hotel zum 12. Stock. In Amerika gibt es keinen 13. Stock tatsächlich, es geht 12, 14. Bad luck. Ne? Aber das war, um die Sicherheit zu entgehen. Und dann eben, also so ungefähr eine Tour geklopft und reingeschrien so, Hampton Wick. How about a... Na, ihr wisst ja schon. Und Mark tatsächlich hat Cynthia reingebeten und sofort zum Fire Escape. Damals hatten wir keine Balkone, sondern man ging auf dem Fire Escape raus. Feuertreppen, Entschuldigung. Und da haben sie dann ein tiefergehendes Gespräch geführt über... what was it? Liberation, oh that's it, ja. Sexuelle Befreiung, Jungfräulichkeit und Gips.
I was in love. I hoped that these subjects would make his zipper come down as if I were pointing a remote control at it. And then something solid would appear. And meanwhile, Barbara went off to the guitarist's room, Mark and I went back to his room, and he didn't exactly help me with my homework, but he was a real good teacher. No, he wasn't British, but his band was #1 in the charts. And no, I didn't put his rig into sand and water where the teacher said to put the solid something. But his rig penetrated something else much softer and way less abrasive.
Très délicat. So, ihre ursprüngliche Hoffnung war natürlich, dass es irgendwas gab, was sie tun oder machen könnte, dass der Reißverschluss runterfallen lassen würde, als wäre es eine Fernbedienung. Damals gab es nicht so viel Kokain. Also, und natürlich dann hatte sie bedacht, dass der Lehrer gesagt hat, oder der Lehrer, sagen wir mal, man soll den festen Gegenstand in Sand und Wasser erstmal reinstecken. Und da hat sie jetzt mal sehr poetisch gesagt, also natürlich ist es in irgendetwas anderes eingedrungen, das aber viel weicher und freundlicher war als den. Ja, du bist ja schon am Strand gewesen. Good, we got you.
That weekend, I lost my virginity! Yay! I had sex with a groovy rock star and was no longer an annoying virgin. 18 going on 19, it was about time, honey. I was now part of the sexual revolution and the groupie nation. But more importantly, that weekend the Plaster Casters of Chicago were born.
Also, wenn man dann mit einem Zucchini ohne Verhütung, naja, dann kann etwas passieren. Sie hat es aber geschafft, sie war ja nicht mehr Jungfrau. Weiß nicht, ja. Und es war höchste Zeit, endlich Teil von der sexuellen Revolution und das mit einem groovy Rockstar. Aber das gebührt natürlich ungeschützt mit Zucchini und so, das kann ja schlecht werden, war natürlich an dem Wochenende The Plaster Casters of Chicago. Dear, how are we doing for time? Are we all right? Okay. Let's move on to the next chorus. We're in the interchorus phase, right?
Okay. So, after meeting Paul Revere and the Raiders, Barbara and I realized we found the way to get laid by rock stars and have a good laugh with them, not at them. I think the best thing about having sex is with a whole lot of laughs. A pajama party with perks.
That's gonna be another reason.
Okay. As the Plaster Casters of Chicago, we would be professional traveling salesmen, women with a suitcase, just like this, packed with things like clay, wax, aluminum foil, an apron, a ruler, no sand and water. We hoped that it looked like we knew what we were doing because we didn't.
Sie sahen sich dann als eine Art reisender Vorwerksverkäufer-Team, die haben das dann Vorwix genannt und haben dann eben, das war ein Koffer voll mit ihren Gips und mit den verschiedenen Gegenständen, die sie gebraucht haben, aber kein Sand und kein Wasser.
So for about a year, we lugged our suitcase around, trying various methods on various rock stars, and it didn't matter if it didn't work because we still wound up in bed with cute rock boys. Learning how to get this plastering done right could wait until later.
Also das Handwerk, wenn man es so nennen kann, also das tatsächliche Abdruck nehmen, war dann auf einmal nicht mehr so wichtig. Hauptsache haben sie eine Art und Weise gefunden, in die Karre zu landen mit lauter junge Rockstars.
So Barbara, by this time, had retired from the force, replaced by Diane, a girl I met in the stairway of the fire escape at the hotel where the Rolling Stones were staying. And right around this time I discovered alginates, the dental mold that dentists put in your mouth, like Dr. Robert Reed, for example. So moving on here, it was late winter 1968. Oh, translate or something?
Yeah, that's okay, or something. Ja, also dann Barbara leider hatte so einen zu schnellen Abgang, sie ist in den Ruhestand gegangen. Diane sind wir kennengelernt im Treppenhaus, als sie versucht haben, an die Rolling Stones ranzukommen. Und dann wachen sie auf sozusagen, haben verschiedene Sachen probiert, dieses Alginates, kann sagen Alginate, what do you mean with? Ja. Aber auf jeden Fall, it's something thick. Es ist etwas Klebriges. Haben Sie probiert. Es war ja 1968. And how do you get to June?
Okay. We still hadn't made a cash yet. Winter 1968, even though the word was out that there were these crazy plaster casting groupies running amok among the hotels. And the Jimi Hendrix Experience was about to come to town. And I really loved them. They were my favorite band. They were doing 2 shows at the Civic Opera House. I had a huge crush on Noel Redding, the bass player. It was urgent that someone in that band be casted. So I talked 2 male friends into being guinea pigs for my scientific experiment on how to mix alginates.
Ja, also dann passiert es. Jimi Hendrix in der Jimi Hendrix Experience waren angekündigt. Sie sollten ja auch mal zweimal im Chicago Opernhaus spielen und Cynthia war absolut verknallt in Noel Redding, den Schlagzeuger. Nur nebenher, also die Schlagzeuger, ne? Bass player. My goodness, wait a minute. Mitch Mitchell, sorry about that. Okay, well if I can do Paul Revere and you know how it is. Whatever. I still know he's called Gary Lucas. Anyway, ja, und dann haben sie eben zwei Freunde dazu verdonnert, 2 aus dem Freundeskreis, I wouldn't read that part. Als Versuchskaninchen.
It's not dirty, it's just running out of time.
Words aren't dirty, thoughts.
Okay, so by the time the Jimi Hendrix Experience hit town on February 25th, 1968, I kind of had my act together. My horoscope said on this day that all of my dreams would come true. And they sure damn did. I casted Jimmy and fucked Noel at the same hotel where I lost my virginity to Mark Lindsay. And the next time they came to town, I casted Noel.
Okay. Ja, also Prioritäten. Natürlich, also kommen wie es kommen sollte, wenn man das so sagen darf, dann eben also Winter 68. Ihre Horoskop hat auch gesagt, dass ihre ganze Träume erfüllt werden sollten und das ist tatsächlich probiert. Sie hat einen Abdruck von Jimmy machen können und hat mit Noel gepoppt. That's it.
April 27, 1968, the Mother's Invention played support to Cream, the Coliseum.
It has to be Cream, right? Okay,
Of course. The whole world is a phallus, let's face it.
There was no dick in Cream, but there was a Jack, so that's good.
Wow, you're really good.
That's what they say. Oh, a light button.
Anyway, we went to the hotel and met Eric and tried to get him interested in being casted. And he told us yes, he was, but so was someone else, his friend Frank Zappa. And he would like us to come back to the hotel the next day to meet Frank and Eric and talk more about casting. And we thought, ew, Frank Zappa, that drug addict with the flies flying around his hair? Little do we know.
Also, that's all right, I've got that part memorized. Also dann Eric Clapton wollte nicht unbedingt sich selbst mal abdrücken lassen, sagte, aber ich habe ja einen Kumpel, der vielleicht daran interessiert sein könnte natürlich. Frank Zappa. Und die als gute, saubere, unschuldige Groupies haben gesagt, Frank Zappa, der nimmt doch Drogen, das ist der Typ mit dem Camarillo Brillo hier oben und die ganze Fliegen, die das aber sie haben ihn trotzdem ausgesucht.
So we came back the next day, and neither Frank nor Eric wanted to be casted, and Frank turned out way more different than what we expected. I mean, smart and funny and really hot. And he was writing an article for Life magazine about the new pop culture and told us that not only was plaster getting us laid, but it was also an art form. And I didn't believe, I never heard of such a thing. Me, an artist. Why, we were just having a good time.
Also die haben es dann doch geschafft, Frank Zappa kennenzulernen und haben entdeckt, er war keine Drogenzusteher, aber auch die Fliegen haben seinen Kopf nicht umkreist. Er war tatsächlich eben also sehr interessant, sehr nett und absolut heiß. Zu der Zeit hatte er einen Artikel für Life Magazine, ich wähle diese Worte echt nicht aus, aber es ging um Pop Culture. Pop means fuck, sure. Anyway, Life Magazine. Und Frank Zappa sagte zu Diane und Cynthia, nicht nur ist Plaster eine gute Art und Weise für euch, also ein bisschen Action zu kriegen, es ist auch Kunst. Die konnten es kaum glauben.
Well, in retrospect, I think Frank was right, that it is an art form along the lines of Andy Warhol style repetition. You know, different shapes and sizes pointing here and there. And it also fits in the broad definition of outsider art. So Frank was the first person I ever met that acknowledged the existence of outsider.
Also Frank hat natürlich damit recht. Ist auch eine Art Motivwiederholung, wie Andy Warhol das sehr gern macht. Aber vor allem so verschiedene Größen und Formen und die zeigen in alle verschiedene Richtungen. Geht man in der Ausstellung, ihr werdet sehen. Ja, aber Frank sagte auch, das war das erste Mal, dass sie den Begriff von Outsider Art auch begegnet waren. Also auch wenn es inside gesteckt werden muss, ist auch Outsider Art Zunge.
Meeting Frank was one of the best things that ever has happened to me my whole life. Very few people get where I'm coming from, but he got the joke, and I felt like he appreciated me. It was a very unusual feeling for me. For all his deep intellect, he had a toilet sense of humor just like me.
Okay. Also Frank Zappa zu treffen war eine der größten Sachen, die ihr je passiert ist. Er war einer von den wenigen Leuten, die tatsächlich verstanden hat, worum es ihr dabei geht oder ging. Und dass er sie einfach zu schätzen gewusst hat, war für sie auch mal sehr, sehr viel wert. Er hat einen sehr, sehr tiefen Intellekt und hat einen gewissen klobezogenen Sinn auf Humor, das auch mit ihr sich deckte, wenn man es deckt.
So, when the mothers came back to Chicago a few months later, I let Frank have a look at my drawings, diaries, and journals, and he loved them. I have this unemotional, clinical style of writing about limp dicks and plaster that he liked, and he thought they should be published in book form. So I had a dream about erecting a Hampton Wick museum, and he wanted to help me make it come true. So he asked me if I'd quit my 9-to-5 key puncher job and move to Los Angeles, where the rock stars roam, out where I would find plenty of casting opportunities. And are you kidding, Frank? Hello, I'm there.
Also wenn Zappa dann nach Chicago ein paar Monate später zurückkam, hat sie ihre ganze Tagebücher und Zeichnungen gezeigt und so. Und ja, dann, ja, okay, also er fand ihre sächliche, unemotionelle Art und Weise mit halb aufgeblasenen Schwänze im Gips umzugehen tatsächlich sehr anmache. That's what's on the paper, I don't know. Und sie hatte einen Dream, dass sie einmal ein Hampton Wick Museum mal aufstellen konnte oder hochbringen konnte. Und dann Zappa sagte, jetzt komm mal nach Los Angeles, da hat sie ihre, also 9-to-5, ihre Dayjob, also ihre langweilige Arbeit als Eingeberin geschmissen und ab nach LA, where the rock stars are.
Oh, Diane Plastercaster did not join me out there. She moved to London to get married. I tend to work with women that want to get married after working with me in plaster. So Frank was my patron for about a year and a half. He put me up in an apartment, paid my rent and utilities, and gave me an allowance, and just told me to create. he didn't believe in contracts, so neither did I. So I didn't sign any. And I hung out in the whiskey and casted an assortment of rock musicians. Never any of them up to the magnitude of Jimi Hendrix, I'm afraid. Talent-wise, that is. I'm not a size queen, only a talent queen.
Oh, I won't do that part yet, that's okay. Wait till you see what's coming next, folks. Ja, gut. So, auf alle Fälle, Diana, die Hälfte der Mannschaft ging nach London, wo sie ja dann geheiratet hat. Aber mit Frank Zappa als ihre Mäzen sind hier nach L.A. gegangen und ja, dort hat er für sie gesorgt, also einfach mal eine Wohnung gespendet und sie gesagt hat, jetzt kreiere mal. Und die verbrachte nicht wenig Zeit beim Whiskey A Go-Go, bei diesem berühmten Nightclub und hat ja also einige verschiedene Stars auch mal abgedrückt. Dann der Satz, den mir ja, der mich beeindruckt. Sie hat nie einen Vertrag gehabt, nie einen unterschrieben. Zappa glaubte ja nicht, hätte nicht an Verträge geglaubt. Jo, das ist interessant.
Now I'm going to talk about Herb Cohen. Speaking of no contracts.
Keine Verwandtschaft, das wirst du ja alle.
Yeah, when I was living in LA, my apartment got robbed, and the thief didn't take any cash. He probably was afraid they were satanic icons that were going to kill him or something. But, when Frank's business partner, Herb Cohen, heard about this, he suggested very kindly, that I should leave my casts with him and let him keep them in his house vault for safekeeping. So Frank trusted him, I trusted him too. And all the casts I had made from 68 to 70, about 23 were brought over to Herb's house for safekeeping.
Okay, es gab in ihrer Wohnung einen Einbruch. Der Einbrecher hat natürlich die Castings, also die Schwänze zurückgelassen, wahrscheinlich weil er sie für irgendwelche satanische Werkzeuge gehalten hatte. Aber daraufhin hat Herb Cohen dann ihr vorgeschlagen, dass ihre ganzen Kunstwerke bei ihm zu Hause aufbewahrt werden sollten, damit es ja sicher sein soll.
Okay. It was about this time I stopped saying Hampton Wick and switched to dick and cock and penis, because it feels better in the mouth.
Let's do that one right away. Ungefähr dann hat sie aufgehört mit dem Rhyming Slang und hat angefangen, Dick, Cock und Schwanz steht auf dem Blatt, aber das geht, das funktioniert für uns. Ja, also es kommt besser im Mund oder aus dem Mund raus, je nachdem.
So the sexual revolution started to wind down and people were getting married more, plaster casting their penises less. And it kind of went out of fashion for a while. Frank decided it was time to end our patronage arrangement. So I got a job at the phone company. I was a long-distance operator. I worked there for about a year. I had enough of the land of the body, beautiful. I was overweight. It was a bad city for a fat person to be living in, LA. And so I moved back to Chicago and lost weight. And I left the cast behind very reluctantly with Herb, who promised he'd take really good care of him.
Also, nach ein bisschen Zeit, also war die Luft raus sozusagen. Los Angeles ist dafür berühmt, dass alle aussehen, als ob sie 19 sind und das schon seit 40 Jahren. Also sie sagte ja, zu der Zeit würde ich schon ein bisschen übergewichtig und das hat einfach nicht mehr einen Sinn ergeben in Los Angeles, mal als etwas glücklicher zu bleiben. Also das heißt, es war Zeit nach Chicago zurückzugehen und dann eben die Zeit, also die Jahre sind vergangen. Sie hat allerdings sehr widerwillig die Abdrücke bei Herb Cohen gelassen, aber nun ja, man macht, was man machen muss.
Okay, so the years passed, I settled down in Chicago and got a job as a typesetter, 9-to-5 job. And occasionally I casted. That was when I didn't have to get up early to go to work, because casting is done best in the wee hours of the morning, unfortunately. In the late 1980s, an MTV producer who wanted to film the cast for some documentary about groupies helped me touch base with Herb, because Herb still had his dirty, greasy hands on my babies, and I told him I wanted them back. Oh, I call them my sweet babies. I am their mama. I wanted them back, and I told them so. And he told me that he owned them. And legal action would be necessary to get them back. So I got a a couple of awesome lawyers who wanted to help me with this unique kind of legal problem.
So, dann ging sie natürlich nach Chicago zurück und hat gearbeitet, einzig als Schreibkraft, Typesetters, das gibt es ja eigentlich nicht mehr, aber und sagte, sie konnte auch mal ein bisschen Casting und so ein paar Abdrücke machen, aber immer nur abends spät, wenn die Arbeit es zugelassen hatte. Allerdings Herb Cohen und seine schmierige Flossen hatte nochmal ihre kleinen Babys, wie sie nannte, in seinen Händen. Dann musste sie ein paar oder ganz gute Anwälte finden, um sie zurückzuklagen.
So we took Herb to LA County Court and sued him, and I talked on the witness stand about dicks for 2 days. And even though Frank was on my side, he was too ill at that point to testify in court. During the lawsuit, Herb revealed that there were not only original plaster casts, but bronzes that he had made. And the judge ruled in my favor. The babies belonged to their mama. But Herb claimed he didn't know where the originals were. So he only returned the bronzes. So I took the bronzes back with me to Chicago and put them in a bank vault. And the whereabouts of the originals to this day are unknown.
Also, wie ihr ja auch verstanden habt, hat sie ja natürlich Recht bekommen vor dem Superior County Court, also vor dem Amtsgericht. Und zwar hatte man das Privileg, 2 Tage lang über Dicks und Cox reden zu dürfen vor dem heiligen Gericht. Naja, also Frank Zappa war auch natürlich zu der Zeit krank. Er war auf ihrer Seite und er hat sich auch mit Herb Cohen auseinandergekracht, aber war leider zu krank, um damit aussagen zu können. Die ursprünglichen Abdrücke sind angeblich verloren gegangen. Herb Cohen hat aber aus Bronze und aus what else? He did bronze. What was there? Some other silver, something like that.
There was one silver for like the bronze maker was experimenting.
Okay, ja, aber auf alle Fälle, es waren ein paar Metallabdrücke, das bekam sie und hat sie sofort mit nach Chicago genommen und weggesperrt. Aber die ursprünglichen Abdrücke sind leider verflogen.
So very sadly, Frank passed away about 8 months after I'd won my lawsuit. I always think about him. I dedicate everything creative I do to him. And in 2000, my first ever plaster caster exhibit in New York City happened, what Frank would have wanted. So it was dedicated to him, needless to say. And I know he was there in spirit, laughing at all the expressions on some of the faces of men looking at the casts. And that exhibit was captured on film for a documentary, which you may have seen, called Plastercaster.
It's actually, you've written there quite correctly, it's a cockumentary.
Cockumentary.
Yes, right, okay. Leider etwa 8 Monate nach dem Prozessurteil ist Frank Zappa verstorben, aber die Cynthia sagt, alles was sie macht mit ihren Babys, die fühlt seine Anwesenheit da und kann geradezu spüren, wie er darüber lacht, wie manche Männergesichter ja langgezogen wird, wenn sie die Abdrücke anschauen. Aber für sie ist Frank Zappa immer noch eine Motivation. Sie sagt, sie widmet eigentlich alles Kreatives, was sie macht, zu seinem Andenken. Und also vieles davon wurde eben in diesem Documentary namens Plastercaster. So.
Okay, so during the filmmaking, I added a tent wing to my collection. Yeehaw! Baby. Sweet baby. I'll never forget that night when I fucked Noel Redding and not you. Well, okay, after I poured the plaster, I was really keen to see the outcome. I opened the mold prematurely and it fell out in 3 different pieces.
Can you use the word different by premature? Yeah.
But anyway, it hadn't set fully, and it was in 3 pieces, and I was freaking out. So I closed the mold back up and let it sit for 3 days.
So that means we can't see any breaks in there. So
No.
it's all right. And tell us about Noel. I'm kind of to tell you the truth, I'm a little fascinated about Noel. Noel Redding, natürlich der Schlagzeuger by Jimi Hendrix.
Now, I hope you don't get dizzy by looking at that thing whirling around and around. But that's happened about 4 or 5 different times to penises that are getting soft as the mold is getting hard. So instead of shrinking in a straight direction, they go round and round.
Also Jungs, keine Sorge, es ist ganz normal, passiert überall auf der Welt. Also mein Abstumpfen dann, also geht's nicht nach so eine... You got it. All right.
Well put.
Yes, I do my best. Yeah. Who else? We have Eddie Brigati. We have Keith Webb.
I have a lot of people that...
Again, another example of these spiraling...
That's a pretty ballerina.
Ronnie Barnett. Who was Ronnie Barnett?
The bass player of the Muffs. We're making a comeback. Yeah,
Wow.
a punk pop band.
Pump.
Yeah, pop punk.
Yeah.
Pop.
Peter Peppers? Not a problem. Good. Yeah, Mike Diana, there's a particularly, I can't see who that is, particularly gifted, it's not about the length, of course, was that Martin Atkins?
Oh,
Yeah.
of PIL.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Also John Lydon's, also die Public Image Limited ist natürlich John Lydon von den Sex Pistols, danach hat dann, und das ist aber, but you didn't get John Lydon himself.
No, and I didn't ask John Lydon because I knew he wouldn't do it. I can scope the will-dos and will-don't a mile away.
Also Cynthia natürlich, die nimmt keine Freiwillige, man darf sich bei ihr nicht melden, sie macht das halt ganz gut. Gut, aber sie sagt ja, also, sie kann eigentlich mal erkennen, wer das machen wird und wer das nicht machen wird. Ich wollte wissen, ob Johnny Rotten auch mal mit dabei war, aber der wollte es ja auch nicht. This one?
This one was the guitarist in television.
Okay.
Richard Lloyd.
Okay.
Crazy. He was mean to my plater, who was my stimulator, what I call the stimulator.
Okay, right.
Not very nice to her in bed, I'm told.
Oh, good heavens, well at least they had a bed. Yeah. Also John, Richard Lloyd, sorry about that. Richard Lloyd von der Gruppe Television, die ihr wahrscheinlich nicht kennt, das ist ein bisschen New Wave. Hat ein sehr gutes Modell abgegeben, aber war wirklich unangenehm, was die Stimulator, die Ermutigerin anging. Aber
Blowjob giver.
The blowjob giver, yes. In Deutschland gibt es keine Blowjobs. I'm sorry, wait a second. You're right, that's what Frank Zappa is one of his. There are no blowjobs in Germany. Is the camera still on? Oh, sweetheart. We'll talk about it later, okay? Anyway, don't talk about him awful. Right, anyway, yeah. Danny Dollarod. Shall we move on to some tapes?
Yeah.
Jetzt bewegen wir uns mal zu den Mopsen da hinter um die Ecke. Also wie oft darf ich die Worte einfach so benutzen? Das ist Kunst. Ja, was haben wir hier dann? Now this, I don't know, that looks kind of Peaches. Of course, the famous Peaches ist jetzt mal in Berlin ganz groß. Aber those are both from the same...
Yeah, the same girl.
Yeah.
Her tour manager held the mold over this one and probably was so excited that she got it too hard.
Oh, okay.
This is the way this is when I held the mold and that's more natural.
That's more like, also Peaches natürlich, also der Tourmanager hatte die Aufgabe, nur draufzuhalten und war ein bisschen aufgeregt und hat alles platt gedrückt.
getting close to
We're down to the
fun.
short strokes. So.
Serious. No, I'm a very, as I said before, mama with her babies, and I love to show off. That's part of being a groupie, is showing off and bragging about your conquests. So I brought here a few examples of what are in the exhibition, in case you wanted to touch them, because you can't touch the ones that are under glass. And I'm in the mood to hold one myself. It makes me feel less shy. It's really like a security blanket that you wrap your hand around instead of it being wrapped around you.
Cynthia kommt jetzt mal so langsam in Stimmung. Natürlich hat sie ja ein paar Abdrücke von ihrem Abdrücker oder Eindrücke, je nachdem, mit dabei. Und sie hat ja eigentlich jetzt mal Lust, ein paar Mal anzufassen. Und es wird auch dazu kommen, natürlich, dass ein paar von euch vielleicht mal auch mal Bock haben. Also wenn ihr hier vorne kommen wollt. Do you want to pick out the victims to make embarrassed, or should we just invite people?
Volunteers, not victims.
Would anybody like to come up here to hold on to some plaster genitals?
Would you like to have a look?
These guys are shooting. Come on. Why don't you guys...
There.
Wohlfahrt.
Jan.
Wer ist dafür, dass Wohlfahrt auch mal hier ein bisschen mitgreift? Naja, mit will, also...
Have you washed your hands?
You wash your hands afterwards, actually.
I was actually going for a forest.
You were going through the forest?
No, I'm going for a forest.
Going for a forest?
Yeah, forest Gump Dump.
Oh, thank you.
Philadelphia.
No, I didn't.
You've done this all right.
I didn't read the whole dictionary.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
Let's see your hands.
Hold on.
All right. So I'm gonna start with the big kahuna.
Big kettlebell.
Jimmy.
That's Jimmy.
It's a little on the cracked side, but a nice vein and very. It has a. I like plaster because it gives a virginal look. Okay, you can't. I know you're itching. You want to use.
I just want to touch it. Just touch it.
Isn't that Depeche Mode song?
Cynthia, come on, please touch it.
Shut up. Hold it.
Please.
Careful. Don't.
Oh, no.
Put your hand around
Yeah.
it.
You gotta hold it that way.
But
And tell me how it feels.
Yeah, but I'm seeing
No, not that from that angle.
No, yo. That's the way I look at them. Yeah, you know.
Angeblich kennen die sich nur so, aber
Yeah, but if you're looking closely at it, yeah, you see, then you can tell that this guy, he's left-handed. Yeah, he's left-handed, man.
what do you mean, how do you know?
I'm left-handed, just like Bill Clinton.
Ja, das ist doch auch Sehr schön.
Are you a size queen? Because I'm not.
No,
Talent queen.
I'm a very small guy with a big heart.
There you go. The beef heart.
Big heart.
I-
Come on.
That was me.
All right. Enough of Jimmy. Here's one I know that you're even more eager to hold.
Oh, ambidextrous.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Isn't that,
Oh,
are you getting the whirlies yet?
he had a bad night. He had a bad night, didn't he?
Isn't
Oh,
I think
did you used to a long time with the plaster?
he was getting hard as the mold was getting soft and the mold had it.
Yeah, no, who is this guy?
This is Noel Reddy.
And who the fuck is Noel Redding? Is
You look like you know he's Noel Reddy.
oh, yeah. It's the husband to Helmut Reddy. No, who the fuck is Noel Redding?
he's the bass player from a band called
I only
Jimi
listen.
Hendrix.
I listen to both kinds of music. Zappa and Bifart.
But how does Noel feel to hold? That's all I want to ask. All I want to know. Touch the head a little bit.
want me to?
Yeah, that's exactly what I want.
Come on.
I don't know. I mean, I would,
Indescribable?
I would have gone home to my summer house and come to bed.
Okay, all right. I guess I'm more of your
If I could have found my summer house, but that's another thing.
Does this way of life look attractive to you?
I do that go around the hard way. It's practical on the t-shirt. It makes me bold. I do that go around the hard way. Make me a t-shirt. T-shirt.
Feel the plastic.
Yeah, I know this feeling. It's safe as milk, you know. It's no, I'm just asking.
I really don't believe in interrupt us, but I'm afraid that we kind of have to move on.
Okay.
Maybe if there's a couple of last words you want to say. I'm not sure if are there questions. Gibt es Fragen für Cynthia? Für
You want to answer a question?
Yeah.
What's your question?
And
I go
do you want to stay on?
Un momento.
Okay. There you go. Let Andy.
The front
Let the
row is
mic go
very
around when you're done,
dominating
right?
tonight.
What's up?
Cynthia, you've been talking about writing a book.
Yeah, yeah.
How's that going?
I'm trying to finish it. I'm about halfway through. Yeah. Yeah, well, I think I can't really. I have a lot of notes that I haven't strung together. That I need to string together into the text. It's just hard to say. Maybe more like 3/5 done.
If you've been there,
Cynthia natürlich.
They're not hard for me. Just hard.
Cynthia natürlich schreibt an einem Buch, falls das nicht rauskommt.
Anybody else? Any questions? Any questions? So, Cynthia, was Noel Redding your first man?
No. Mark Lindsay was my first fuck, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Okay.
No, I had
Well, I'm glad it wasn't Noel.
I was more
You know that
experienced
thing?
with fucking than casting when I met Noel at that point.
Anybody else?
We can.
Come on, Nick. You're a nice guy.
One question.
Okay. When Jan?
Jawohl.
Yeah, well, oh, he's already turned it on. Yeah, there he is. That's the guy I've been looking for. So, if you would like to say maybe a couple of like bye-bye words, then we'll get Inventionis Mater. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Jan, a left-handed man. Oh, there we go. It's a good one. There we go. All right.
So anyway, it's been a long, hard road, and I wouldn't have traveled it any other way. As long as there are talented people with dicks and tits, I shall have no choice but to cast them. And you all out here at Zappanale, you never know which one of you might get a calling card from me. Thank you all for coming.
Wunderbar. Ladies and gentlemen, Cynthia Plaster. Sie hat noch ein paar Worte, die sie sagen will, another couple of words, so.
Thank you, Jim Cohen, for making me sound like a sane person.
No, I didn't do that.
And thank you, Peter Gores, for inviting me, and Robert Wright, you were my supportive, sweet angel. And Dieter, Jacob, the same. And Wolfhard Kutz, we must speak more. Because you're also supportive, I know. And thank you, John Kaminsky and Tina, wherever you are, for the love and champagne. Thank you all for coming. Stay hard.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cynthia Plaster. Doing a very hard job.
Wir dürfen als Ehrenmitglied begrüßen Mrs. Cynthia Alberton.
Cynthia, are you with us, Cynthia? Come on out here. Oh, she's holding a rubber chicken. Ladies and gentlemen, Cynthia Plastercaster, Miss Cynthia Alberton. She's using a chicken to measure it.
I can say my real name now because my mother is no longer with us. The warden won't find out now, so I can go by my real name.
An official honorary member of the ARF Society. Let's have an ARF on 3, please. 1, 2, 3. ARF. Welcome and thank you so much.
You know, when I came from Chicago, in Chicago, I was just a common plaster caster, and now I'm an official member of the ARF Society. And when I go back to Chicago, the landlord asks for rent, to tell him, "Fuck you! I don't pay rent. I'm a member of the ARF Society." I belong to the club that all the cool kids belong to. A member in good standing. Hello. So, Zappanale, I love you. Happy town, Zappa town. I shall return on I'll fly in on a giant penis, flying penis. No airlines necessary. Zappaholics, Zappa, I love you, and I'll be back. You better believe it. Thank you. Mwah.
Ein dreifaches Auf, Auf, Auf.
Thank you, Bad Dobrin. Thank you, Wolfhard, and everyone else that made this happen. And thank you, Frank Zappa.